Hello, and welcome to Leadership Training. My name is Steve Handy, and this is part one of a series of 10 different leadership trainings that will focus on the top 10 qualities that make a great leader. Over the years, I've come to realize that one of the most important things you can do to have a successful organization is to have great leaders in place. I have hired, trained, and developed many successful leaders throughout my career, and these trainings cover a few of the principles that I have used to help train business leaders. The first thing I want you to consider is the question, what is a leader? We hear the term leader used all the time, but have you ever stopped to consider what truly makes someone a leader rather than just a manager? To help answer this question, let's reflect on some of the great leaders throughout history. Here on this slide, I have a picture of 5 very influential leaders, each of them unique, and together they span a wide variety of groups that they have led, everything from sports to business to even leading a nation during great turmoil. While each of their experiences may vary greatly, they all have one thing in common. They were all able to unify a group of people to follow a specific cause. What enables a person to do this? The literal definition of a leader is a person who rules, guides, or inspires others. To me, one word in this definition stands out even more than the rest, and that word is inspires. Is that not the essence of great leadership? Let's go back to the example of these 5 great leaders throughout history. Martin Luther King Jr. was able to inspire a nation to challenge their understanding of freedom and liberty as it relates to all of human race. On August 28, 1963, he was able to get some 250,000 people to march the streets of Washington, D.C., all the way to the Lincoln Memorial and stand in the hot, humid summer weather to listen to a speech. A speech that has since lived on throughout history. Clearly, Dr. King inspired those whom he led. General George Washington stepped forward to lead a nation that dared to break away from the King of England in the name of freedom. He led them victorious in war and then later to lead the nation as its very first president. He was beloved by all whom he led as he inspired them in the name of freedom. Coach John Wooden, one of the greatest basketball coaches of all time, he won 10 NCAA national championships with the UCLA Bruins. His success was unprecedented, and his players loved playing for him. He was known for his great attention to detail and preaching the fundamentals of the game. He inspired his players to work hard, have morals, and serve others, as this would lead to success not only on the court, but throughout life. It takes a great ability to inspire athletes to play with the heart and soul that Coach Wooden's teams always played with. Next, Steve Jobs, one of the most influential leaders of our current generation. He has literally changed life as we know it. His incredible vision of how we as humans could interact with technology and with each other in ways that we never before even dreamed of inspired not only the revolutionizing of the music industry, but for technology as we know it. Steve had an incredible ability to lay out his vision of the future and inspire others to push for it. Lastly, the 16th President of the United States, President Abraham Lincoln. He led the United States during one of its darkest and most trying times, that of the Civil War. Imagine trying to lead a nation when it is divided against itself. And on top of that, to actually free the slaves in the middle of the war itself. Truly, it takes an incredible, inspirational leader to steady the helm during a time when a nation is moments from completely collapsing. Your ability to inspire those you lead is one of the key ways to becoming a great leader. In 2012, Forbes magazine wrote an article about the top 10 leadership qualities that make a great leader. As I mentioned previously, these trainings are based off of this list of qualities. But aside from Forbes' opinion alone, I have personally witnessed in my career that these 10 qualities are absolutely critical to successful leadership. Today, we will continue to focus on the quality of ability to inspire and touch briefly on how you can inspire those you lead. So, how do you inspire someone? In reality, this question deserves at least 10 separate trainings itself. This is an excellent question and one that you really need to ponder over and figure out how you personally can inspire those you lead. But let's touch on a few points. The first point is vision. You have to first know what it is you believe and what it is you are trying to accomplish. Dr. King, President Lincoln, and President Washington all had a vision of freedom that united their followers. Steve Jobs had a vision for how technology could change the world. And John Wooden had a vision for obtaining the highest level of success for both on and off the basketball court. You must figure out your belief window and how you view your organization, what makes it unique, and what you are ultimately trying to accomplish. This belief is the driving force behind everything you and your employees will ever do. It is the why behind what you ask your team to do each and every single day. There is a power in explaining very clearly the why behind what you do. Instead of focusing on the what so much with your team, focus on the why. It will help inspire those you lead to give you their all. The second point is do things people wouldn't normally do. Many of the people that you will lead will have had a lot of different kinds of leaders throughout their life. And sadly, many of them will just expect you to tell them what to do and get upset with them when they don't do it. Great leaders, however, go beyond what's typical. They will go out of their way to show those they lead that they care for them and will work hard right by their side. Several years ago, when I was leading a sales floor of over 100 agents, we had a terrible outage in our data center which caused the websites for over 2 million customers to go down. Naturally, we had a sudden rush of phone calls from upset and confused customers. Instead of doing what might be typical of yelling at my team to get on the phones, I chose to do what you might not expect a typical manager to do. First, I gave clear directions, and then second, I came out onto the floor and sat side by side with my team and got on the phones myself. I led by example. This caught many of my team members by surprise. Well, at least the newer ones who didn't know me as well. They were expecting me to sit back in my office and bark orders at them while they worked tirelessly to help our customers. Instead, I wanted to show my team through my actions that we were in this together, and I was willing to work side by side with them, and doing that inspired them to work that much harder. After that, I didn't have to remind a single person on that sales floor to be diligently answering phone calls. The third point is to listen and act. Communication is absolutely crucial to inspiring others, and those you lead need to know that you care for them in order for them to feel inspired. One very important way you can help them know that you care is to truly listen to those you lead and acknowledge their concerns even down to the seemingly small issues. There were many times that I would find out that one of my managers was inhibited in his or her work due to the lack of permissions to a tool or outdated equipment that they had. And when I found out their concerns, first I acknowledged them immediately, and then I acted promptly. Many times, I resolved their concern and fixed the issue before their shift was even over for that day. And doing that very quickly, without fail, would always impress them. By listening and acting promptly, I earned the respect of those that I led and helped inspire them to want to follow. The fourth point is take the blame. Showing those you lead that you recognize when you have made a mistake or owning up to failures that may occur engenders a deep amount of respect. When things go rough, take ownership for it. You are the captain, you are the leader. Take that responsibility on your shoulders and show those that you lead that you are willing to take responsibility for any and all action for your team, whether it's positive or negative. It will inspire them to want to follow you even more. The fifth point is take risks. Drawing back to the example of exceptional leaders throughout the history of the world, if you know their stories, you can find many examples of how each of them were willing and they did take risks. Being willing to boldly push boundaries, to try something new, and strive to accomplish a seemingly impossible task is incredibly inspiring. People like to be part of a cause that feels bigger than themselves. And in order to enact change and push things forward, you have to be willing to take risks. Leaders that have confidence and faith in their actions as they take those risks will inspire those that they lead. The last point is sacrifice. As the leader, you need to be willing to do whatever it takes to help your team succeed. Martin Luther was willing to walk the streets in peaceful protest right alongside his followers and be thrown into prison. Lincoln was willing to go to the battlefield and sacrificed his time and even risk his own safety to be with his soldiers. Show those that you lead that you care for them and that you're willing to put aside your own interests for the sake of the team and the cause you are fighting for. This can come even in small ways. There was a time that my team was preparing for a large conference where we would be attending as a vendor. We were to have a booth as well as a presentation slot, and as part of that presentation, we were going to leave on every single chair in the room a one-page description of our company, along with a free trial coupon that we would glue onto the handout itself. It was a very large room that we were to be presenting in that would hold easily over 1,000 attendees. One day in preparation for this, I saw some of my team members diligently spreading out the handouts and preparing to glue them. There were only 2 of them working on this project, and I could see in their faces that it had already been a very long day, and they were not looking forward to gluing by hand over 1,000 free trial cards to each and every handout. When I noticed this, I decided to stop and immediately start helping them. They were caught by surprise and even said to me, "Don't you have somewhere more important to be right now?" I said, "Helping you is what's most important right now." I did have somewhere to be, but I realized that I could easily sacrifice some of my own time and push back my schedule for 30 to 40 minutes while I helped my team. This seemingly small act of sacrifice of my time truly inspired those 2 team members and most importantly showed them that I cared for them. These are but a few ways that you can inspire those that you lead. If you can remember to first have a vision, and then do things people wouldn't normally do, to listen and act, to take blame, to take risks, and sacrifice, you will be well on your way to inspiring those you lead. In summary, being a leader is about caring more for the people that you lead than for yourself. If you can remember that one simple principle, it will serve you well throughout your whole life.